Welcome everyone to a special edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I'm your hardcore host Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. First, from the Skeleton Realms, he's the Lord Skeleton himself, Joseph Knight. Joe, what's going on?
Nothing much. We got a shitload of scandals to do, so let's come into this. Let's all come into this meeting.
All right, and then of course, we have our lovely vicious vixen Zoe Nightshade. Zoe, how are we doing, honey?
Doing good, and you do know that I love a good scandal.
Well, we got all sit back and buckle in because we got a lot of scandal to talk about. And last and certainly not least, from Lance Moss TV, he's the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, what's shaking?
Ladies and gentlemen, I know I'm the original controversies and scandals guy with HTBR, but buckle in. This is going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, God, let's get to it. Most of you know by now that Vince McMahon is in hot water. According to this Wall Street Journal, Janelle Grant is suing McMahon for allegedly exploiting and being abused by McMahon while he was chief executive of the promotion. Grant also claims that McMahon lured her into promises with her career and advancement, and in return, he would have sex with her and other men in the company. So, long story short, this all went back into 2019 when Grant was living in an apartment. She lost her parents and she needed a job. So she alleges that, she made it clear that one of the requirements of the job was to have a physical relationship with Vince and John Laurinaitis and others. So this wasn't like day one. She was definitely groomed into this. And of course, over time, the relationship, Vince just became more of a sexual affair, more of a sexual slavery. And that's really what it boils down to, guys. And it's just absolutely disgusting. What had happened in 2022, reports said that Linda McMahon found out about this whole situation, and she shut the whole thing down. Now, Grant was paid $1 million, and she had to sign an NDA clause, which is a non-disclosure clause, and she was expected to be paid $3 million. But on Friday, Grant released more disturbing information about her time with McMahon. There was one time she was forced to having a three-way with another unnamed person. To make it worse, Vince allegedly shit on her before making his way into the shower during this three-way. I have to stop for a second. I can understand having three-ways. I can understand Vince wanting control, because he's a control freak, but to shit on another person's head and expect her to finish sex. Zoe, help me here.
I mean, that is disgusting, and that is just so disturbing to do to someone. That is the biggest FU I've ever heard of, is shitting on someone. That literally shitting on someone. I don't have words.
Yeah, and that's just, again, one of the huge, several stories that's coming out. Then on June 2021, McMahon and Laurinaitis allegedly sexually assaulted Ms. Grant while inside Laurinaitis' office at WWE Stamford, Connecticut's headquarters. She actually released a a text of some very graphic things that Vince said. He goes, again, I'm paraphrasing, so don't take this word for word. Vince was like, you're my woman, you're going to do what I want, and sooner or later, I'm going to share with everyone, and you should be happy that I'm sharing you with everyone. And, it just, I couldn't believe this. So it's just, it's like almost like her sexual pawn, Joe.
Let me ask you a quick question. I wanted to clarify the beginning of your statement that part of her agreement was that she wanted to be in a relationship with McMahon, or that he wanted her to be in a relationship with him?
I believe that he wanted to be in a relationship with her, and considering the situation she was in, she was probably like, okay, he's a billionaire, he's good looking, maybe I can get some extra money. So yeah, okay, fine. But I don't think she went to the depths that it was right now, that what it came out to be.
Right. Now, and I'm playing devil's advocate, folks, because one, I would like to see. There's been so many stories, backstage stories, investigative stories of McMahon doing these things to the various women backstage. I can't say for exact, like Sonny is one, because we know Sonny used to jump around. There was, so many other women. There were stories how Moolah was pimping women out to the talent and promoters. Those are factual. It's been, well, it's not factual, but it has been investigated, so you never know. My thing is, all these times, through this insanity, all through this thing, that she's been with him, I don't know how long. One, I never heard of the girl. I don't know if she actually competed in the ring at all.
No. She was
So
she worked strictly in the office.
Yeah. So okay. So all these years, and now you come out. I don't know how long it was. Like 10, 20 years later.
No, 4 years. It's not even that.
4 years later. So it's still in the realm of the time frame.
Yeah,
so statute of limitations have not fallen. So,
no, they have not. No.
Now here, let me just finish this because again, I like to play it like this. I want to see substantial proof. I don't want to hear hearsay. That's what McMahon has gotten away with for years. That's why I'm so vehemently on this. It's because Vic McMahon has done so many things. Pat Patterson has done so many things. There's you heard John Laurinaitis have done stuff. You've heard Bradshaw done stuff to workers like Blue Meanie and whatnot. The British Bulldogs, Dynamite Kid, who beat up on the Rougeaus and nothing happened. McMahon has gotten away with the steroid trials, with other things, with investigations, because there was never substantial proof. And for a girl, and if she signed a non-disclosure, then she could be in trouble. Depends on how long that contract was made up for. Because she could be now making allegations, and they can turn that around and say, hey, yeah, you know what? She signed a non-disclosure, and here she is disclosing stuff that never happened.
Let me cut you off right there. First and foremost, Lance and I were talking about this before the show. Actually, Lance, why don't you explain about this non-disclosure clauses?
Okay. Now, I'm not sure if this is retroactive or not, and the exact date when she signed.
2022.
I'm not 100% sure on that one, but in December of 2022, President Joseph Biden signed into law a law that said all NDAs that are regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment that are it's basically illegal and invalid.
Well, you know what? I think that it's it right there. I mean, some of her sexual assaults would include rape. She actually said no when she was in the office, and so when Laurinaitis and McMahon was tag teaming her.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. As you know, again, I would like to see McMahon get his justice because, again, he's done stuff. Unless you have substantial proof, you can't do anything about it. Is there any video of this happened? Hell, there was video when a certain Soraya was creaming on belts with two other guys.
Well, that was a totally different situation, Joe. I think
that's being kinky. That ain't being criminal.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you, Joe. Do you really think Vince McMahon would actually put something like that out there?
Oh, hell no.
All right, then. So you just answered the question.
Yeah, but here's the thing about this. When you look at a situation like this, there are so many factors involved that unless there is some substantial proof about this, it's just going to happen like every other case McMahon's going to ever had. He's going to, walk out of the courtroom like a proud peacock because you can't prove a damn thing. Well, that's where the man who brung down WCW and every other company, in actuality, the other companies brung themselves down because they just didn't know how to run things properly. But for the man who brought down all these companies, how ironic that his own company is now without him and he brung himself down. I would like to see justice done. Honestly, I believe he did it. And you have John Laurinaitis, who I know definitely will be doing shit like that. You know, I'm surprised Triple H didn't jump in there because he's probably hiding under a bed because he knows his wife would beat the crap out of him if he ever tried.
He was never implicated. So
You know,
I
I'm
know.
waiting to hear a statement from, just because I'm curious about what she says about this. The Bella Twins' mom.
yes, because the Bella Twins' mom was actually dating, if not married, to John Laurinaitis.
Yep.
Apparently, I believe still currently married to him.
Well, I'm not sure
No.
about that. You can Wikipedia that.
Yeah.
But
that's a good thing. I'm going to actually look that up
yeah,
too.
because actually the Bella Twins released an official statement on X regarding the whole situation, and they said they were mortified and they couldn't believe what had happened.
Here's the other big quote from them. Says, "We are shocked and disheartened with the recent allegations against members of the WWE. It has been a lot to process since we found out this past week, just as you all did. This is something that we don't stand for or condone from anyone, no matter who they are. We want all women to feel safe and supported in the workplace and in their daily lives."
Yeah, absolutely, and that just nailed it right there. Now, Vince hashed out.
Wow. Not to cut you off, Rick.
Okay.
Here on Wikipedia, he is married to still the same person. How quick has this been put on Wikipedia? Sexual assault accusation. On Wikipedia, this is in January 2004, a lawsuit filed by Janet Grant, a former employee, blah, 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 alleged that Vince McMahon had co-star in sexual relation along with John Laurinaitis, along with John Laurinaitis, sexually trafficked her and repeatedly assaulted her. So, and this was during 2020 and 21. So, in his marriage, he was with whoever the bitch is.
Not to mention the other women.
Yeah, 2016. So, he's actually, he's fucked.
And
if it's all
the
comes
dirtiest
out.
part about Laurinaitis, I believe this is when his wife was battling, I want to say, brain cancer.
She was fighting some sort of cancer.
Well, okay, if we can get back on track here. Again, Laurinaitis, he obviously had a lot of womanizer issues in the past. Vince, again, another lot, but here's the thing. I guess Heather Grant, along with 3 other women who worked in the company, Vince paid out was it $12 million back in 2022? I think. That's when this officially stopped.
30, something like that, yeah.
And that was, Heather Grant was one of them at the time. She just came forward back in 2024. Now, the reason why everything stopped, not was because Heather Grant couldn't take enough, because by then she was already slaved in. Her brain was already shut off.
Yeah.
Linda McMahon found out and shut the whole thing down. So, now here's my thing. Why has Linda not yet divorced this motherfucker? This is my big question.
I believe they're legally separated.
Legally separated.
Let's be honest, Rick. The man has a lot of money. You want to keep you want to be purging that money as much as possible before you actually, because if you divorce him, then there's obviously there's probably an agreement, mutual agreement or nuptial agreement, whatever the form is, and she might walk away with nothing.
Joe, I don't know about that.
Yeah, because they were married long before Vince bought the WWF.
Oh yeah, but still, any type of contract where you can keep your part and any money is made, that can happen at any time.
Well, there's another aspect you can look at, Joe. I mean, Vince is 72, 73. Maybe she's just waiting another decade or so for him to croak and take the whole thing.
Well, I think after all of this, I think he's going to croak a lot faster. So He's going to wait for that money.
Yeah.
Then you know what?
Yeah.
Then at the funeral, you're going to hear, "Here comes the money," and
Okay.
Tate's going to start dancing.
Vince and Linda were married August 26th of 66.
Yeah. Oh, and Terry 3G said he missed out on the air. He said, "Hello, sorry, my internet flaked out." It's all right, Terry. We're still here. We're still talking about a lot of crazy shit about Vince, and so far, and he did point out that they have been separated for 2 to 3 years now. But I still think that a sexual affair definitely would, especially all these affairs and all this other shit, would definitely lay on be on Linda McMahon's side should she choose to get a divorce.
And here's the thing: since they were married back in '66, there is no prenup.
There you go. That's
when
what
he
it was.
finally
Thank you,
sells all those stocks, I got a feeling she's going to take his happy ass to the cleaners.
Yeah, I think right now, Vince really has to worry right now is about this lawsuit. Now, as we were talking, Joe, you said like there's these texts. Now, of course, right now they're just texts. We don't have any proof that actually came from McMahon, as you did point out. But should this go to the case, and Grant's lawyer says she is adamant on taking this thing to case, he's gonna have to, there's gonna be warrants or whatever to get these texts approved that if it did come from McMahon's phone.
You know what? And again, with corporations being the way they are, I wouldn't be surprised if Vince just said, "Well, I didn't text them. Maybe somebody got my phone." In the world of phone hacking, it's
over 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's a push.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me. Here's the thing, guys. We've been through so much watching McMahon through his numerous investigations, and he's always come out on top because there's no hard evidence. They need that smoking gun. No offense to Bart Gunn and whatever the other tag partner that disappeared. Oh no, Billy and Brad. That's what Brad is the one that disappeared.
Billy and Bart.
Yeah, Billy and Bart. Thank you. Whatever. Fuck them. Fuck him. But he never did anything but get beat up by Butterbean anyway. Unless something actually pops up and says it's him, and if they have a voice message that says it's him, which I know Vince will never do anything. If he did something like that, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna fuck you hard tonight. Come meet me in the shower."
Did you read any of the texts, the alleged texts?
And there you go, alleged.
Yes,
text.
like I said, right now everything is alleged. I am not disputing that, but I mean, with all the stuff that she's talking about and Vince McMahon's prior behavior, you can't really, shake a stick too hard at it.
Oh yeah,
But now hold on, let me continue, Joe. Hold on, 1 second.
Uh-huh.
Now there is also Grant made another claim that she shared. She was shared with, and she quoted, "a world famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion," because the company was trying to get a contract, get him signed, which he did. Now,
can I break this one down?
Go ahead.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there have only been 5 people in the UFC that have won a fight, let alone won a championship in the UFC. They are Severn, Shamrock, Rousey, Lesnar, and Cain Velasquez. It will not be Shamrock or Severn because he was not trying to re-sign them. It says he, so it's not Rousey.
I don't think Rousey would do it anyway.
Cain Velasquez just went to prison for beating the hell out of somebody that tried to sexually assault a member of his family. So who's that leave left?
Yeah, there was a lot of rumors. There's a lot of speculations. In fact, according to the Observer, Brock Lesnar was supposed to appear in this year's Royal Rumble. He was not in the Rumble at all. He was not even mentioned. There was also talks about him possibly going on to face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. That match is most likely not going to happen either.
Well, what's funny here is, if any chance that he can screw someone else and not look at his wife Rena, which is Sable, I think that's a winning situation right there.
On that one,
but
oh God, I'm reading some of these texts.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
God,
and here's the funny thing I'm going to say this, and I'll move on from this. when you read the text, obviously they're that horrendous. It's like you look at Vince and you say, "Yep, that's a Vince thing." You know, that's one of the biggest factors here. You can honestly say, yes, it's Vince. You know, you can actually say, yeah, it's him. That's the asshole, all right, because that's the personality he portrays. Now, backstage, he could be the same way. Nobody really knows except those backstage. And wrestling is such a hush hush environment that Triple H is not going to say nothing about it. Shane is not going to say nothing about it. Stephanie's not going to say nothing about it. The only other person that could say something, and again, is allegations until proven true, would be honestly Linda McMahon. But at this point, Linda's probably just holding on because she just wants to get as much money out of that bastard as she can.
Yeah.
So Rick, that's one of the biggest factors that I say. Is this going to be his downfall? Oh, he's done.
He's already
wrestling.
Gone.
He's
left.
done with wrestling. Yeah.
This past week, last week he left. He resigned as head of the the chairman, TKO, everything. For the first time in WWE or WWF history, there's no McMahon around. The closest person you get maybe is Triple H, who's married to Stephanie McMahon, but that's it.
You know what I'm wondering? Okay, since the merger happened, Ari Emanuel has been they've been saying Vince is a liability. There's numerous interviews. My only question is, what did he know? And how much of this did he know?
When I say liability, he probably thinks he's like, okay, these are lawsuits. That's, again, when he first came up, he made the sell. This whole thing was starting to fumigate. It was starting. And so, yeah, I would definitely see that. You know, you go buy a new company, $1 billion company with somebody who was the head of this $1 billion company with all these sexual allegations. Yeah, that's a liability, whether it's true or not.
Put it like this: they don't care what the man has done, like what cases he has, you know, or if it's actually factual or whatever. It's just the amount of litigation, the attention that he's getting. That's the bad thing. That's what nobody wants. So they want to get as far away from that as possible.
I don't remember if I said it on HWR or on my own show, but when Vince sold the 1/3 of all his stocks, didn't I say what's coming?
Yeah, you did. You did call it, Lance.
Well, somebody was coming.
God damn it! This was coming. Shit.
Yeah.
You know, I want to hear more from Zoe's side, because not only does she have great insight because she is a woman, but she has a great Southern accent that I just adore.
I mean, God, I was reading some of the texts and I couldn't even force myself to finish reading them. It's, oh my God. I have a kinky side. Kevin don't know I have a kinky side. I have a kinky side, but I'm not that daggone kinky.
Yeah, let's ask John Moxley here. I'm quiet.
But anyway, I believe a lot of this is just Vince McMahon has power control on people. And I do believe that's what he was using, was power control over this young lady. Now, if it does come out that Vince McMahon did do these things, that he did rape her, that he put her in a 3-way with all these other people and everything, and she didn't want to be there, and she said no, yes, I hope she gets justice to the fullest extent. I hope that she gets that justice. And I mean, it's also part of it's kind of, I'm wondering, you know, what, I mean, I don't want to say maybe she's making all this up, but what if she is? And then I'm going to feel like crap for saying, I hope Vince McMahon goes to jail. Now, as far as Linda goes, Lord God in heaven, she must be a daggone saint to stay with this man this long.
Yeah,
all because
Yeah.
of
absolutely.
money. But it, like, to a real person like you or I, if you found out that your spouse was cheating on you over and over and over again, where do you draw the line? Because at some point in this marriage, and it's there right now, and that's been there for a long time, there is actual hate in that woman's heart for this man.
Oh,
There has
absolutely.
hate.
But here's the thing, though. They are legally separated. So
Separated only
I
means
don't care if they are legally separated or not. I don't give a shit. My husband, if he went out and he did half of this crap, I would have done freaking divorced him day one and said, "Don't you ever contact me again."
Zoe,
after
let's
she
be honest
beats him
on
with
this
a
one,
barbed
Zoe.
wire bat.
Zoe, let's be honest on this one. If Kevin did this kind of shit, you'd be on the news for murdering him.
I would be on the hook for murder. Absolutely.
I mean,
I mean, I
spade to spade.
would. Nobody should be put through half the stuff that we know about that Vince McMahon has done to women. No woman should have to go through some of this stuff. Some of it, may have been made up, but part of me is like, you know what? He's got money. All he has to do is say, "Baby, I promise you this. Baby, I promise you that. Just don't say nothing." You know what I mean? And then the laws of limitations passes.
well, actually, when I talk about, we've been talking about Linda McMahon, how they're legally separated, and even Terry 3G made a strong point. He said this. Oh, this makes me wonder, what kind of scandal would have an effect on Linda if she's been trying to be successful to get into U.S. politics? How is this affecting her career?
She'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think she's had her fun in politics, honestly, at this point.
Yeah.
She put it like this. She made it. She made. She got into the position in politics. She can add that to her resume. And notice she stays quietly out of everything because she don't want to get implemented into Vince's issues. Quietly, you know what? Honestly, she's probably sitting to herself. Well, the fucking bastard finally got caught. She's probably like, other women like her that they're women that says, you know what, you want to screw around, go ahead, just keep giving me my $250,000 every year. Just keep giving me my money.
I think he's only paying her $2,500,000 a year.
$250 million, I think I meant to say.
No, that's what I meant, $250 million. So
think
of it like this. She could be screwing around with other people herself. That's why legally separation is. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Now she's smart. She has not divorced him because she's still collecting that money. Yeah. Once she's divorced, that's it. It's done. So she knows something happens. Now, let's put it like this. At this point right now, guys, and everybody listening out there, you will never see a McMahon in wrestling unless he decides to make his own company. And at this advanced age, Vince cannot handle the stress. So,
no, he's done.
The era of WWE or F with a McMahon, it's over. It started in 1983 when he bought the company from his dad. Lasted all this time, and now it's finally over, and he's done.
I honestly think we will see Linda file for divorce because let's face it, he ain't gonna get any more money once he sells those stocks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, Lance, I think this is more waiting for this case to come out because right now this is all alleged. This is all speculations. We don't, know. I think right now Grant and her lawyer are building a case, and I think when this case goes to trial, and if it favors in Grant's case, what is that going to mean for McMahon's future legally? He could, the other woman could be coming forward and say, "Yep, he did it to me too. Yep, he did it to me too," and then.
All it takes is one conviction. If this girl wins her case, because how many other women have come up and said that, and it's never happened because he had the best lawyer in the business. Now he doesn't have that lawyer because that lawyer retired. Jerry McDivitt. Now, when it comes down to it, all it takes is for this one woman to take down Vince, get a conviction. Then you're going to see every other woman come out and say something. That's what it's going to take. Right now, he could have sexually molested, harassed, fucked, strap them up into the ceiling or in kinky positions all he wants, and those women could have had that done, but none of them have been successful. So if this girl can do the impossible and get this done and there's a conviction, yes, he raped me, he did this. What are you asking for? I want justice to be done, and I want a fucking $250 million or $1 trillion out of the old man. Once this case is over and Vince loses and he has to cough up money and he's going to jail, every other girl is going to pop up with the same thing.
Well, right now, this is only a civil case. It's not a criminal case. So
exactly.
Right now, this is going to be like, the prefaces of what happens. If she wins, then yeah, I think Vince could definitely face possible jail time if, of course, the state decides to go after him legally. We also talked about the statute of limitations. This case could go on for another 2 or 3 years. So I don't know what the statute of limitations is for sexual assault or rape, or anything else.
Normally it's 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 years. So Go ahead.
It's just not Vince McMahon either. I mean, even in the indies, you see this kind of stuff happening all the time, where promoters will use that power over female wrestlers. Not every promotion. I mean, I'm lucky, Mike Murphy, Dennis Spradlin, Cooler, all wonderful promoters that I've worked with. None of them I've never witnessed or heard anything like this happening. But I have heard in other promotions, a lot of other promoters will do this same kind of crap. And no, they don't pay them off big billion-dollar amounts to keep quiet. They promise them this, and that in the promotion. I mean,
it's
horrible.
Trust me, I've seen it in the business. I've stayed far away from that, but it has happened. There was I'm not going to mention the person's name, but he had a female worker who was learning the ropes, and she had no place to stay, so he let her stay in he had a back room where he housed the ring, and she slept there, and occasionally the guy was married, and he would come by just to get his fair piece. So it happens in professional wrestling, sadly, but it's not only in professional wrestling. I mean, let's say that as well. It happens in other forms of entertainment. Hollywood has a black history of that. Professional sports happen. So wrestling, the only reason wrestling gets the more notoriety, because of course it's big, it's always out there. We don't have seasons where we go off like football, baseball. Wrestling's always in the eye. So that's why it's always out there getting that, noticed first.
All right. I want to shift gears now a little bit. I want to go a little bit back into 1994, and that's where Vince actually, Vince McMahon was charged with 6 counts of distributing steroids and conspiracy to distribute. However, 3 of those 6 charges were dropped before he even got to trial, and the other 3 were eventually he was found not guilty. But a lot of people pretty much still said that it was Vince. They just didn't have, as usual, I would call it, Joe, that evidence. But I mean, come on, this is a guy who's running his own company, and at the time it was still a very small, growing company. How could the boss of this kind of a company that has his eyes and ears on every little thing not see this?
What do you mean, not see what?
The steroids. Vince played out that he had no knowledge.
Let me tell you something, brother. We've been shooting left and right.
Fight against him.
Yeah, I know that, but there's rumors that Vince wanted bigger guys, and wink, wink, allowed things to go by. There's a lot of things that go by in professional wrestling. Let's look at ECW with the drug abuse. Paulie never said, guys, you shouldn't be taking those drugs. Paulie was probably saying, RVD, keep smoking that shit. You, Sabu, keep taking that stuff.
Joe, the thing, do you know what the drug test is in ECW?
I heard it before, but please enlighten me.
It was, if you can you'd have to take a drug test, and if you're able to pass it, you shouldn't be working here.
Exactly.
You know what? For some reason, that does not shock me.
Oh God.
But yeah, Rick, it happens, and forget it. It has been one of those things where, obviously, you know, you in every in, forget it. It's out there. It only takes that one person to really catch the individual. You know, and Vince is so smart. First of all, having Jerry McDivitt as your attorney all those years, I'm sure they probably tell him, Vince, don't have any cameras in your room. Vince, don't record any of this. Vince, don't do anything like this, you know, in public, or don't mention this, or don't bring in trusted. If you're going to have threesomes or gangbangs, make sure it's with individuals who will swear secrecy to you. You
Don't
know,
type that crap out in a text.
yeah, you know, it's stuff. That's why it makes it so difficult when you have that, you know, almost that corrupt camaraderie. It's so difficult to get word out, you know, and Zoe could probably, you know, understand when there's a clique in the business, you know, and they're doing stuff illegally. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get anybody to say anything about them.
Well, here's the thing, Joe. That clique is clearly broken up. Some other people have been fired from the company. So you have to wonder if there's a couple of those people who's breaking the company is like, shit, I need to keep my job. Or, you know, maybe I should just.
I want to say the only member of Vince's clique that's left, which, you know, it was Vince or Johnny Ace, Bucky Beaver, and Bruce Pritchard. The only one that's left is Pritchard, which I have done. His days are numbered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's gone. But there are other like people who I guess he trusted people within the WWE production crew. Now I don't know if they've already moved on, but or if a couple are still there. But sooner or later, these people, even if they, especially if they moved on, if they get court summoned, bet your ass are gonna come in. You know, they don't have Vince to protect them anymore.
Well, here's the thing too. You know, yeah, they could come in if there is absolute proof to say that they were involved. Then they'll definitely, yeah, he did it.
Well, what I was referring to is the trustees. Vince would show sliding pictures. He had pictures on his phone, and he would say, "Oh yeah, look at her, look at this, you know, look at you know." So all you need is one or even two people to say, "Yep, that's what we saw," and you could, you know.
Yeah, but again, it's easy to say, "That's what I saw." What's your word against somebody else? You know. It again, unless they get those pictures, unless Vince, you know, sent the girl her own pictures and say, "Hey, look at this bitch," or he sent it to somebody else. Somebody can easily delete it out of their phone.
Well, that's another thing. It could be if it was on his SD card, or if it was on his phone. If he had sent it to somebody, God forbid, all they had to do is check his phone service. They remember everything.
Yeah.
What's on a picture that you take on a picture that you would take and delete, that's one thing. They would have to get their actual phone, which I'm sure Vince would not have, you know, hand over. But any kind of transferred data, that's it. That's open.
Yeah.
So.
Next, they look at the IP history. They got to see where it was sent. And if Vince says, "Hey, I didn't do that, buddy. I left the phone in the office, and I must have forgotten it. And my cleaning guy must have grabbed it."
Yeah, and I'm sure he just had his phone number too. His password, his thumbprint, you know.
Yeah.
There's honestly. Go ahead, Zoe.
I was saying, yeah, he's also got his face recognition too.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be pretty hard. I don't think anybody has a Vince McMahon like picture they could put right in front of it. It doesn't work that way. Okay, and you know what? Terry 3G also made another topic I'd like to jump onto is makes you wonder, was Vince McMahon patting Pat Patterson? And guys, again, this is another topic. This goes all the way back to 1992, where Pat Patterson and along with Terry Garvin was accused of sexual harassment for underage ring boys by former announcer Murray Hodgson. The former ring boy, Tom Cole, who is alleged that Patterson groped him and engaged in sexual harassment when he was 14 years old. Both he and Garvin resigned from the company shortly after they went public on Donahue. I don't know if you guys remember that TV show.
Yep.
Um,
And that kid
actually,
Stats Money says, "Don't pat me down. You're not a priest."
yeah. Well, Vince McMahon actually was a guest on Donahue along with several of his accusers. The panel also said that if they did not do any sexual favors or if they did not agree to Pat Patterson, do his thing, they would get promoted. Others would just be outright fired. And Vince was like, nope, that never happened. Never happened. Oh, I don't know anything about that.
You know
Pat
what was
Patterson's
funny about
best
that,
friend.
Rick?
How could he not know?
Of course he knew. You know who was on that panel, everybody? Barry Orton, the uncle of Randy Orton.
Yep, superstar Billy Graham was also in the back. And of course, Lance is a very famous news reporter, Dave Meltzer.
Bullshit.
He was in there. But again, this is another thing that Vince is just saying, no, it didn't happen. How could he not? I mean, come on, Joe. I know that you want to believe this, but I'm going to start off with you, Zoe. Do you really? Your thoughts on all this, especially going back to like 1994, 20 years ago.
Well, I was 6 years old in 1994.
God damn it, Zoe.
But I mean,
another gray hair just popped out in my head.
But I mean, honestly, this whole thing, every scandal that Vince McMahon has been involved or covered up in his lifetime, I mean, it really does show that money and sex makes the world go round. It has control over the country. And all Vince had to do with Pat Patterson, honestly, was to pat him on the back and say, don't worry, I'll make it go away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Patterson did leave. But I think it was like a couple of years later during the Attitude Era, he came right back. He's in the fucking Hall of Fame, for Christ's sakes.
Yep. It's called let's please the masses. Yeah, you're out of here, Pat. Quietly. He's still probably working in the back, or he's probably collecting still a paycheck. There's, put it like this, what we get to hear, what we get to see from the character, what we hear from individuals. Again, we don't know we don't know Vince personally. There's so many allegations out there, and 99.9 of it is true. When he has that type of power that he could do whatever he wants because he's the top man in the company, and you're in an entertainment company, it's like MGM, it's something else. Look at the skits. Look at that picture you just posted up. Look at the Attitude Era, the skits he was involved in with Trish and all these other people.
Candice Michelle, he actually had an affair with.
Candice Michelle, yeah.
Who's now
all
born.
These people. Yep, look at all these things. And then pushing for these girls to be on Playboy. So...
okay, it ain't all bad if he's pushing for most of them to be on Playboy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. But, again, that's the scenario that you look at when it comes to this. Is it true? Absolutely. It's 99.9% that it is true. It's just that 0.1 that we need that proof that can come out and finally bring him down. That's what you need. Do I believe the other women involved? Absolutely. There's so much, like you said, the steroid scandal, there's the ring boy scandals, there's the what's happened in the back with the boys and all that. Zoe's in the wrestling business. She knows how some of that stuff is heard and spoken and done behind the scenes. I've seen it.
Yeah. And also you have to think about as well, with all this stuff happening, Vince McMahon had to approve a lot of these women coming into the wrestling business. Back in the day, they had to be, let's
personally
say,
approved.
blonde, big boobies, skinny. Like, he would sit there and objectify them. He'd be like, okay, you're a little chubby. I don't want you. You are size -2. God, yes, be on my show. But you need breast implants.
Yep.
You know what? And that's actually true. I mean, up until, I'd say, within this past decade or maybe 12 or 13 years ago, we've not seen bigger women in the WWE. We now have Tamina, Nia Jax. You had...
Piper.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, Piper. and those are just a few off the top of my head that are allowed in the company. And
Well,
even go
you
ahead.
gotta have them. You gotta have them, so nobody can accuse you of again being against fat people, but they won't get to that high spot, like
Exactly.
like the pretty girls. Let's face it, the girls of the Attitude Era moving forward, they went from the Wendy Richters, the Luna Vachons, the Sherry Martels, beautiful, I can't Lanani Kai. You can go on and see the women of the wrestling era, the '80s era, and prior, that they were not glamorous. They were beautiful, attractive girls, but they were not
They were not
like
pinups.
they were
Yeah.
not pinups.
Yeah, and they certainly were not headlining WrestleMania.
Yep.
You
And he
know.
went from that to the Sables, the Jacquelines, Kelly, Stacy Keebler, Trish Stratus. You know what I mean?
Lita, yeah.
The list goes
Yeah.
on.
And they were all doing bra and panty matches. How many bra and panty matches did we see during the Attitude Era? I lost count.
A shit ton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
because that he was finally able to fulfill his his desire to see matches like that, and the women didn't care. They're on television, they're famous, and that's what makes this also very hard for someone accusing him. You have all these other women says, nope, never happened. Vince is always an angel around me. He's never done that. Meanwhile, he's banging her in the ass, but she's like, nope, never happened
But-
because
Joe, here's the thing. There are numerous accounts of Vince going into a room with a woman, into a locker room with a woman, and her coming out with him, and her just standing in the corner trying to, crying and trying to wrap her mind around what the hell just happened.
Oh, there and I 100% agree. That probably does already. It happened, but you know what? Again, when you're in this line of business, and again, like in Hollywood, and I'm pushing us Hollywood as a great example because they do this all the time. There's people that if you don't kowtow to their political views, their little click views, or anything, they're blacklisted. Okay, in wrestling, it's that same thing. You've got Vince McMahon, who is the top guy, who's running probably at the time the only wrestling company, the only big time wrestling company. There wasn't a WCW really didn't have women matches. ECW had not really big. They had cat fights, but it wasn't anything substantial, But when Vince was there, like, I'll make you a superstar, babe. You're gonna make millions of dollars, and a lot of these women did. They made a lot of money. You can go down the street and you could say Trish. You could say Trish Stratus. You could say Alexa Bliss, Bailey. You can go down the line, and a lot of these girls will say, yes, Vince took great care of me, never did anything to me. He's an awesome guy, and they're collecting a beautiful paycheck, and they're known throughout the world.
Well, I'm sure there
Meanwhile,
are those. If I can cut in for
he's
1
underneath
second.
their skirt having a field day.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of the female wrestlers that Vince knew that he would not have a chance at even remotely. I think he had to find women that were subjectable to this type of behavior. Women who would kind of doesn't necessarily have the strongest willpower. They feel that, okay, well, I need to do something. I mean, this, Janelle Grant is a perfect example of there are women that are in a desperate situation that needs help. Vince is throwing money at them left and right, and eventually the sex. Okay, hey, why not? I don't have a boyfriend. Want some sex? And have some fun along the road.
Yeah, if you keep giving me those hundreds of $1,000s, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the real shame about it. But you know what? There's women and men. There's men that actually had that as well. That have had that. But again, sometimes it's so difficult to go out of their way and says, "Yep, this is happening." Because who's going to believe you? Can you afford a Jerry McDivitt to defend you? 9 times out of 10, a good lawyer probably can say, you know what? There's maybe there's a 60-40 chance, with 40% being us, that we're going to win this. because his lawyers are going to make sure everything is wiped out of the system. Everything is gone. So it's all hearsay, damn it. That's until that one person can finally get, and I hope this Janet can do it, that one person can actually get and have the proof, and there's nothing Vince can do about it, and it happens, and he's convicted. That's going to open up the floodgates for every other girl to have courage to come out and say, yeah, he did this. Now, I guarantee you, every girl currently in that locker room in WWE are shutting their mouth up so they don't say anything bad about him, because it could be their contracts on the line.
Oh,
So they're probably all just sitting quiet. Nope, nothing happened.
yeah, I don't think
nobody could say it's not going to happen, or nobody could say that, oh no, those girls won't do that. Bullshit. They're making fucking tons of money. They're not going to talk bad about it. They're not going to jeopardize their position. They want to make sure he's long gone before they start saying stuff. Look how they used to make fun of the Ultimate Warrior. Then he came back in the good graces. Oh, he's a great guy.
To be fair, he blew up in 3 seconds.
Oh yeah. We need to ask Mrs. Warrior about that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, guys, even if for some reason Vince skates on this thing, for some odd reason, I don't see him coming back to the WWE, and I certainly don't see him being in the WWE Hall of Famer in his lifetime, at least.
Hell no.
I'm just waiting for this to be on Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, they are.
I'm going to be honest. I think Benoit gets in the Hall of Fame before Vince does.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, this is just one demented, depraved, disgusting son of a bitch.
Well, they are having a docuseries of McMahon on Netflix next year. Yeah. So, and this part of it,
they're going to add this stuff into it.
Well, part of it already was added in, because they were talking about when Vince first. Remember when he first stepped out? There were 4 unnamed women. Janelle, I'm sorry, excuse me, Grant. She is that one of those people. So there are 3 other ladies out there somehow that are just happy with their bit of money and keeping their mouths shut, or have yet to step forward and say, you know what, I want more money.
You know what? There's a good question by Terry Trees over in the chat room. He says, makes you wonder if Jody Lorna, who was China, everybody, and every other WWE or WWF women's champion had to sleep with Vince just to get that championship. Wrestling is not like, put it like this, wrestling is not like in hockey or anything like that. You never win and you never lose. The title is appointed to you. So if you can go grease the boss's ego, he might lean in that. He might lean or slap or slap him back and forth. You might be able to win a belt. I would not be surprised. We've seen crazy stuff happen.
We have, and there's girls, I'm sure, that probably went and sat on Vince's lap and said, so what do I gotta do to get a push for the women's championship?
Yeah, and there were women who wanted that never deserved it, but they got it.
Exactly.
Maurice. I'll just throw that out there. Maurice is one of them.
Yeah, I agree. And we're going back to China for a minute. I think China, her issue more was with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. I think there was the other McMahon you were talking about, Joe. Because there was rumors that Stephanie had a crush on Triple H. They never really gave a full view of what actually happened. But they were in a strong relationship, and Stephanie, quote unquote, put a little love letter in Tripp's pocket. And eventually he found out, and then the relationship slowly evolved, and then Jody was kicked to the side.
Absolutely.
Well, Big Show even witnessed it. He said that him and his wife were in a store in the mall, and they looked over, and Stephanie and Triple H was there, and they were making out. And Big Show's wife was like, oh my God, look who it is over there. And Big Show looks, and he's like, we got to go. We got to go. We got to get out of here.
Yep. Because they know how they and again, other boys in the business or girls in the business will turn a blind eye because they don't want to they don't want to lose their job. This is a dream job. When you make it to the WWE and you're on pay-per-views, you're in WrestleMania, when you're in SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, whatever have you, you're in front of that camera and there's an audience. I guarantee you, all you take is 3 months and everybody will know who you are. And you do a scandal, everybody knows who you are, right, Sonny? It gets to that point.
You mean inmate 246-B?
Exactly. Hold on, she's getting plucked by her cellmate Wanda. But it's stuff like that. Nobody's gonna rat on the business. Look how Hollywood has gotten away with it for years, for decades, because they go through the same practices. There's that little click there, that they, you know what, you fuck us over, you're out of the business. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Every business, every company has that. There's always a scum boss. There's good bosses. There's good promoters. There's, great people that work in any type of business, but you also got a majority of more scummy people. And if they know they're in a position of power that they can get away with shit, as long as the evidence doesn't pop up, hey, you know what? There you go. Bill Clinton, President Clinton, screwed around with Monica Lewinsky.
He was one of a few.
But he didn't go to jail.
We now have a new king of scummy promoters. Because at one time, it was Herb Abrams.
Leave Herbie alone. He made some great cookies.
I think Herb Abrams just got dethroned by Vinnie Mac.
But you know what, Lance? Not yet, because Herbie, actually, there was enough proof in Herbie up his nose and in his boots and everything.
Okay, so we could just say that Vince is the number one contender then.
Yeah, he's the number one contender.
The shit that Vince is accused of versus dying with hookers and blow.
Yeah, who hasn't had sex with hookers and blow? That's like not as bad. Shitting on your significant other. That's a little. Sorry.
You know what? There's people that get off on that because if they can degrade you down and you are willing to take it, then that's a high for them.
So change the topic. My stomach's hurting. I just ate. I want.
Hey, baby, you want some chocolate?
Yeah. Oh, come on, man.
Damn, Joe.
Come on, Joe. Down. Believe it or not, guys, I can control Joe sometimes.
What? Yeah, that bastard.
Oh, God. Well, since we're talking about controversies, let's talk about the fabulous Moolah Joe. She was a madam who was literally whoring her own women, the women in that roster out.
You know what? And I'm going to bring that up here. I'm not using cheat sheets, guys. I'm actually going to just try to remember it off of my old brain here. Moolah ran a wrestling camp, a very successful wrestling camp, but part of the deal, this is dating back many, like in the 60s. She would whore out the women to literally promoters that can get them a job, and Moolah would get a good percentage out of that. It's a scummy business. It's a scummy shit, but it has happened.
And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't she promote, how do I say this politically correct? Little people?
Yes, to a point. She didn't do a lot of them, but that was, I forgot who was also the main booker of that era, but she more controlled the women of all territories. Vince controls the WWF. Moolah controlled multiple territories. If she was based, I think she was based in North Carolina, and a guy in a scum promoter in California wanted a particular woman wrestler, then part of the agreement is that woman has to go sleep with that promoter to get paid, and Mueller will take a percentage of their pay.
That
It's
beats the holy shit out of you.
yep. And
Which
Lady
Mueller could.
Maxine, Lady Maxine was a perfect example. Everybody look up her on YouTube and get a good example. You can find all her stories on it. But yes, it's a sad state of affairs. It happens all the time, unfortunately.
And I think, guys, we're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I want to thank Terry 3G for joining in. And Joe, you're over at Skeldon Realms. What do you got going on over there?
Well, starting Saturday, I'm going to finally get back to doing my game streams. I have been being held off on it because I've been doing just so many other things. But I'm also run the WWO Online. It's a virtual wrestling promotion with a lot of great people. Our next show would be February 24th, Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're a virtual wrestling promotion. We do a lot of things backstage. It's not AI versus AI like everybody else. We actually have skits. We do promos. We have a lot of things. Check us out. Just do the hashtag WWO Live. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And again, this Saturday, I intend to come back to doing regular streams and go tackle some of the old Nintendo games that I missed that I haven't had a chance to play.
All right. And, of course, if you want more Hardcore Wrestling Rants, we do have our Facebook page. Check us out over at Wrestling Rants in the group section where we cover the latest news, rumors, and much, much more. Zoe, we talked a little bit earlier before the show. What do you got going on?
Oh, man, I've got a show coming up on February the 10th. It is TSW's Heart Attack. You can find us over on... in Somerset on February the 10th at the Old Shopville Gym. We've got a great show lined up. TSW Rock and Roll Champion Marvelous Mike Murphy is going to defend against the Brotherhood's dumbbell Travis Liddell. TSW Southeastern Kentucky Championship, the modern day Viking Colt Wilds has issued an open challenge. New TSW Tag Team Champions will be crowned by the order of TSW Commissioner Mike Woody, and the first ever Ring Post Daily Battle Royale will be held where all roster members are eligible and the winner receiving a substantial cash award. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I'll enter that for a cash reward, but also if Austin Michaels is in that, yeah, I might enter that. I'd like to whoop him once or twice.
Go in there with a mask and,
Yeah, I probably could do that. Austin, oh, I feel for you if you're in that battle royal.
I bet you will feel for him.
I'm coming after you.
Wow, man. Move over, John Moxley. I think you got you squeezed.
As soon as Zoe enters that ring, everybody's scurrying.
Exactly.
All right, and last but certainly not least, is the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, you're over at Lance Moss TV. I know right now you kind of only got your coffee and friends going, but tell us all about it.
Well, right now it's Lance Moss TV and Coffee Time. Lance Moss TV, Coffee Time, and Friends. So we go live at 7:05 Central, 8:05 Eastern. We really don't know who's going to show up. It's at 7:05 Central, 8:05 Eastern for about an hour and a half on Tuesday nights.
All right. And I want to give one last shout out to our good friends, Mr. and Mrs. Avery at BC Games and More. I know they moved their timeline around, Joe. I think you're more familiar with the time.
It is. You could check out BC Games and More. BC and Mrs. Gay and Mrs. Gay, Mrs. A, Mrs. A.
There's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, you can see them. They're great. They're great. Just two great folks. They always support our channel. Check them out every Saturday or Sunday on Facebook around sometimes at 9:30 Eastern Standard. So
okay, so they all
check them out. Yeah, so they're mostly on the weekends at 9:30. So make sure you check them out. Drop a line and tell them HWR sent you.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it. So for the Hardcore Crew, I am your Hardcore host saying we'll see you when we see you.
Oh, damn it!
What?
The show is. I was gonna say what. We're not going to make fun of the Saudis. WWE is going over there. It's going to be a lot of hotels missing blankets again.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Joe. All right, good night, folks.
Hey.